Welcome to the United States. You're at Oakland Airport, about 15 miles from San Francisco, California. It is 7:30 in the morning, Monday, December 7th.
Now you'll always find a wooden chopping block, the same type, a mortar ball, the telescope, and garlic, and monkey bomb and tiger bomb.
I don't think it's fair at all. If I could vote on it, I'd certainly vote against letting these people come in, you know, the Cambodians or whoever.
They are the victims of the first war that America ever lost, the United States ever lost. And in fact, these are our allies from that war.
That's not right. You're not taking care of people at home.
All we ask is give us a chance to prove ourselves, because we call this country, what, a melting pot. And you don't give us a chance to melt.
But let men everywhere know, however, that a strong and a confident and a vigilant America stands ready tonight to defend an honored cause, whatever the price that duty may require.
These are America's newest immigrants, the refugees from Southeast Asia. Yesterday, on the other side of the earth, they said goodbye to the world they knew. Today, they stand on the threshold of a new life. They are but the latest wave of refugees from the war zones of Indochina to enter the United States. Since 1975, more than 500,000 refugees from Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos have resettled in our country. We opened our doors to them as former allies and weary victims of a 30-year war. We promised them federal assistance, a chance for a new beginning in a new land. But as unemployment in this country rises, refugees now are resented as unwanted competition. Federal refugee programs set up by the Refugee Act of 1980 have been cut in half. Refugees have become scapegoats and targets of racist attacks, and the refugee issue is a political bombshell waiting to explode.
I believe that the refugees in the United States are at a very critical point in their life. If we are working, people will tell us that we are still in their jobs. But if we need public assistance, people will tell us that we rely on welfare. People would ask me, tell me that there are too many refugees in the United States. It's true that there are more than 600,000 of us here. But just remember that at one point in time, there were more than 600,000 Americans in Vietnam.
I'm sure that Mr. Phan never in his wildest dreams imagined when he was my age that he would end up in the United States.
For most of his 50 years, Phan Tong was a fisherman from Kien Long in southwestern Vietnam. But in 1978, he packed his family aboard a small fishing boat like this one and fled their homeland, never to return. Today, the Phans live in Berkeley, California. Their eldest son, who left before them, is still missing.
Knowing that he had to leave Vietnam, losing his son, coming to a strange country, would be incredible pressures on most people, but I think that he's handled them very well. In the department that he works in, we have sort of a just kind of let it all hang out attitude. There's not much reservation, you see. I mean, we're into spontaneous bursts of joviality and things like that. He joins right in. I find out that, you know, he likes to make jokes and things like that, and he's got a good sense of humor. And he seems to fit in. He seems to be more Americanized than some of us are at times.
But despite appearances, Phan Tong is distraught over the loss of his son.
I am still very concerned and often very depressed about my son, who was lost during the escape. I don't know whether he's alive or dead, and sometimes I feel very sad when I think about him.
The problem is real. We cannot minimize somebody's past suffering. It is real. But we just try to help that person adapt to reality rather than let reality devour him and making him miserable and dysfunctional.
If my son was alive, I would have heard from him by now. It has been 5 long years. I assume that he's dead. Anyway, I cannot go on thinking about him forever. I have to make a living here for my family.
Phan Thong's story is like countless others. For most refugees, the loss of family members and the trauma of their escape stay with them for years.
They are ordinary people who go through extraordinary events, like they have to, get out from a communist country. And if they can get out, they have also to the tempest, the weather at sea, and to meet the challenge, like the pirates coming and attacking the boat and raping the women and, and even killing, the men, everything. So all of these, stresses build up. And then sometimes, eventually they got to shore. They have to stay 2, 3, or 4 years in the camp, refugee camp, in order for the paper to be processed for them to come over here.
I was a medical doctor in Cambodia.
Did you all leave Cambodia around the same time?
I left first. I didn't even know that they are alive at the time. We were separated since 1975, and we met in the camp.
How about your parents? Were they over here?
No, they are missing in Cambodia.
When did you last see them?
In 1975, at the date of the fall of Phnom Penh into the hand of communists.
And you haven't heard anything from them?
No. We really don't know because we were separated and then we don't know.
My name is Lee. My last name Lee. My first name is Lee.
Lee Tae, Phan Thong's 23-year-old nephew, came to the United States last year. His wife and infant son, whom he has never seen, are still in Vietnam.
I try to forget them because, when I think about them, I cannot do anything. I try to forget them, but I cannot forget. I am very lonely here. I have no friend. I hope my wife and my son come here and see me.
Lee Tae knows that it will take time and money to bring his family to the United States. But he is young and eager to build a new life. Many older refugees are less able to adapt to American life. Frightened, depressed, haunted by painful memories, they drop out of English language classes and drift aimlessly in a culture they cannot comprehend.
It is time now to realize the fact that mental health is not just a luxury for refugees, but it is a real need for a refugee who comes to this country. Because refugees are not just immigrants. They are involuntary immigrants. They have to come here through very dangerous, trial. So at least in the beginning, I think mental health support should be given to them as a support.
But while the need for refugee counseling is growing, mental health programs are being wiped out by budget cuts. Federal refugee funds were cut 30% in 1982. As the recession deepens and jobs become scarcer, the refugee problem has shifted from adjustment to survival.
The Reagan administration is simply cold-bloodedly cutting them off because they're not their constituency, they're not voters, they're not citizens, and they aren't held in the highest esteem by most Americans.
Are you on welfare right now?
Yes.
Yeah. How much you receive in money?
$248 per month.
And how about your family? I mean, your brother, sister, and parents?
I'm independent now, so...
Oh. How many members?
9 people.
The Refugee Act of 1980 provided incoming refugees with up to 3 years of cash assistance to enable them to learn language and job skills. But on April 1st, 1982, the federal government reduced cash assistance payments to 18 months. charging that refugees had taken advantage of the program.
The program was set up to allow them that boost up, which is one of those strange paradoxes of the program is set up for them to use, and they're penalized for using it.
You can go back and say, okay, people are coming in without English, without job skills, they need a little extra help. The question is, at what point does that extra help become a way of life? And I think that's what happened.
I think also, quite frankly, that there was an underestimation of the cost of this program.
They never expected the numbers to use it that did. I don't think they had any idea of the lack of language skills, the lack of transferable job skills that were in those people.
So they're cutting the program to meet the fiscal constraints.
The federal refugee cuts have provoked a storm of protest in California, home to 40% of the nation's Indo-Chinese refugees.
The refugees come here under the auspices of the federal government, and they're literally dumped in the state, and we're left to cope with the problems. Now the 18-month period versus the 3-year period only makes that worse.
The bottom line is when the federal government withdraws its participation, the people are here, and they still have needs.
But state officials maintain that California cannot afford to pay for the federal refugee cuts. State officials have mounted an active campaign to move refugees off of public assistance and into the workforce. Language and job training programs have been given top priority. Mental health programs and other social services are no longer funded.
When they left their country, they lost everything. When they got here, they got an opportunity. And it's ought to be our responsibility to see that they have the opportunity, not to stay in welfare, not to continue to receive social services, but to get a job. You want healthy, mentally healthy people. Let them be productive.
There ain't no jobs here, I don't think.
With unemployment at the highest level since the Great Depression, refugees are having an even harder time finding jobs than American citizens.
Most of them come in with the attitude that they might be able to get jobs. But the reality is that if they don't speak enough English, if they have no local experience, their chances are very slim.
When the water high, maybe.
Lee Tay was a school teacher in Vietnam, but his real love is the sea.
When I go to fishing, I feel very good. I catch many fish because I know how the fish eat. When the fish eat.
5 lines, baby. You see that? 5 hooks.
I think if I have some money, I will buy a small boat. But now I have no money.
For now, Tay has put his dreams aside. He is learning drafting, but he cannot find a job.
If I have this grant, thing I don't know speak English, I don't know anything, I cannot get a job.
Tay's younger brother, Tom, who worked in the post office in Vietnam, is also unemployed. Their older brother, Hai, was a sailor in the Vietnamese Navy. He came to the United States in 1975 before his other family members.
So this is very big country, and almost everything is different. Like the life is different, the way they live in, the way they're making money is different, completely different.
I think I stay here for good. He is different me. Because, you know, I love my country very much. But I cannot stay there. When the communists get down, so Vietnam, I will come back.
Most of our people like my store because they come here and it's like family. I try and make as very low a price as possible. I really want to help my people. I'm not a businessman myself.
Nguyen Ngoc Bic was a writer in Vietnam. Today he owns the Saigon Market in Oakland's Chinatown, a center for the Vietnamese package trade. Many refugees, though struggling themselves to get by, scrimp and save to send provisions to their families back home.
Most Vietnamese people come here to send gifts to Vietnam. They save money from here and there. Maybe they save from their food in order to help their people. Everything we send from here to Vietnam is very helpful for the people there.
I feel the refugees, especially those from Southeast Asia, are definitely a very strong plus economically. There is a period of dependency for a good many of them, but they are very tenacious people. Refugees are different from immigrants in that refugees are survivors. Most refugees came because they had no other choice, and they went through tremendous hardships and horrors to get here, because they are survivors.
I've never seen anything like it. They cleared this entire area with these hand tools. They're very efficient. All that down there 2 months ago was just a dump of weeds. His whole family appeared one Sunday morning at 7 o'clock and just went through the whole hill and took out all the brush and debris and planted and terraced. We made a very bountiful and productive garden out of it.
On an abandoned city lot next to Pat Casio's hillside house in San Francisco, Mien tribespeople are growing crops, as they did in the mountains of Laos.
The one woman, she cleared that area. It took her 2 days. She got my pick and came out and picked the ground. It was hard as concrete. And after 5 hours, I said, "My God, aren't you tired?" And she said, "Oh, no, but do you have a bigger pick?"
Mien people in America are not so good. In my country, job farm, grow the corn for people to can eat. Been here, American country, I don't know what. No cow, no horse, no buffalo, no chicken, no pig, no farm, no what, I don't know.
That's inevitable that anybody picked up and placed in a culture as totally foreign as this one is to them. You would be mad if you didn't have doubts and insecurities. They're brought from one age into another, not just from one country to another.
Many people in my country, in Laos, no teacher, no school, no study. 42 years old, been here in San Francisco, go to school. Even there now, study no good. I don't know, teacher talk, I don't know. I speak no good.
These aren't the first non-English speakers that have come to the United States. They're not the first people that came in hard times. They're certainly not the first people that came that didn't have skills that were immediately applicable to the U.S. Economy. And yet they're by far the most expensive, and they are using assistance as it is available to the limits.
I think that simply isn't true. Our government brought them here and promised them support. You know, they were on our side and against the communists, and many of their relatives have been slaughtered by the communists. And I think they have every right to be here. I think you're a wonderful addition to this country. We certainly need a few honestly hardworking people.
They are people who we invited to this country, who we picked up in mercy missions with our naval fleet in the South China Seas, who we evacuated with our military helicopters as we left that country, their own country, in shambles because they had chosen to support us against the communists. We went there and told them, stay with us, fight for freedom with the American troops.
Because you were there to teach us democracy, and we were chosen to be the front line of the Allies in against the expansion of communism.
Tonight, American and South Vietnamese units will attack the headquarters for the entire communist military operation in South Vietnam. This is not an invasion of Cambodia.
After that, due to some problems, you have to withdraw, and that's why we are here.
I don't care about other people coming into this country. I just feel like I'm not being taken care of, and I'm scared, you know. I want a job. I can't find one.
I don't have anything against anybody of any race or any creed or any color, but I think they should take care of the people here first. We got people here that's starving to death, and unemployment rate is sky high. They should take care of us before they bring anybody else in, the people that's contributed to this country and worked and worked and worked.
Very possibly for everyone that's hired, there's another American that is not working.
I strongly object to that feeling because I myself worked my way up as a dishwasher. I spent 2 years working as a dishwasher, and at that time, I still remember vividly that nobody's wanted to be a dishwasher.
Cleaning up and doing domestic sorts of things which have to be done in industry, these are good jobs for Asian people. They have a second sense for doing well at that.
They have no choice. They don't speak English. They don't have experience, so they just have to accept whatever are given to them.
I need to work because I don't need to stay on the welfare a long time. I need to work because in Laos I'm not lazy.
They are hardworking and industrious. They're always on time. They rarely miss a day, and they're inexpensive. Cheaper labor. I feel like I'm getting more than my money's worth.
They're using the refugees as a scapegoat. Of course, this is what America's always done. Throughout the history of America, you'll find that racism has cropped up whenever there's been an economic downturn. When gold mining had taken a downturn and the productivity of mining gold had turned down, white miners turned against Chinese miners, saying that they were taking all the gold. And we had lots of riots in the 1880s to drive Chinese out from the gold mines. And the same thing will happen to the Japanese and the Filipino immigrants. Right now we're blaming the refugees for it, same thing.
I think it's pretty clear that America has not accepted these people. Everybody saw on the 6 o'clock news the suggestion, the hint, which later turned out to be false, that some refugees were eating dogs in Golden Gate Park. It was never proven, it was never documented, and was totally unsubstantiated.
A false rumor that Southeast Asian refugees were eating dogs and cats led to an unsuccessful attempt to legislate against this practice.
There was no evidence that anybody was eating dogs, and it's already against the law to do that, to kill a dog or a cat inhumanely. And it's a terrible way to welcome. If they had passed a law against every kind of new custom that my parents brought to this country when they came here, they'd probably still be in jail.
My father and my mother come from China. In 1979, I came to United States alone. I think that maybe nobody help my family. Sometimes my family gets sick or gets something wrong. Now I get a job. Many Americans can help me.
Last month you get some pictures from the Mien people in China?
Yeah.
Last month, in a cassette too, or just a picture?
Yeah, cassette too.
Oh.
Today they send again.
Do they believe, they think Nyatak dead?
There's Mien people that die in Mekong. All Mien people die in Mekong.
They're thinking about that no Mien people in United States.
That these people come from far greater depths than I can even imagine. And they're bringing that kind of culture and heritage to us here. And we have to open up ourselves as individuals to appreciate what they're offering to us as individuals.
The refugee people, especially the Asian refugees, have a lot to share with us. Their sense of politeness and human dignity is something that somehow we either haven't learned or we've lost it as Americans. They have a lot of life's questions figured out, and there's a lot of humility we could learn from spending time with them. I think the greatest opportunity for Americans right now with the incoming refugees is to learn about them and spend time with them and share the excitement of knowing a foreign person who brings his ways or her ways to this country.
At a traditional Lao Mien wedding ceremony, Choyen Saechao and Mei Ching Saetern invite their American friends to help celebrate their marriage. To ensure prosperity, they sacrifice a pig to the spirits of their ancestors who watch over their lives.
Hopefully, I think it's the end of the road for the refugees that have been relocated, and that they will become American citizens, and this will be their country, and they'll prosper.
Now I lost my country. I think now I study in the United States. I don't need to go back.
I think that my children have a better future living here because there is educational opportunity, and also they have more freedom. In Vietnam right now there's war, there's starvation, so I think that they are happier here than if they were in Vietnam.
My mother got a book to make something when it's a long time ago in Vietnam.
Oh, I see. So she can make all kinds of things.
I know who it was that is doing that.
People may make it no matter what, but they have not been able to do so in our own society, where we have the benefit of this common language. I don't know why we should feel that the cuts and response of the refugees will be any different, because there are so many things to keep them from making it.
I feel that I'm still part refugee. I'm working now, but as far as my life is concerned, I still cannot understand a whole lot. Because when you go to another country, you have a lot of problems, mainly speaking the language. And also, I still have some emotional problems. In that sense, I feel I'm still a refugee.
Oftentimes, people would ask me, what the hell are you doing here? And all I can tell them was, we are here because you were there. We are here because, rightly or wrongly, we had chosen your side. We are here because of all your promises. You might lose the world, but we lost our country, and now you dare to ask me why I am here? You should have asked yourself, what did we do wrong for them to be here?
They aren't going to go away. They aren't going to go away, and therefore they must be dealt with. And the sooner we realize it, the better it'll be for them and for us.